it is quirky editor Jazz here. So if you all didn't know, I actually filmed this video and the video from last week in one big video. I was going to make it one big video, but it was running a little long, and so I split it into two. If you want to check out the video that is my top 5 books of 2023 that was posted last week, I will link you to that below. But this video is all about the least best books, the least favorite books. So it goes without saying, these are just my opinions. Like, I hate doing disclaimers, but I'm just going to do one just in case. If you love these books, excellent. You do your life. These were just like not my favorite. It is time to discuss the least best books. Now, most of these were not that bad. I didn't have any tragic books except for one. But one was real tragic, and we're just going to start with that one. That book is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd book in the, what in the heck is the name of the series? I never can remember. The Last Hours trilogy. Now, I didn't really like this trilogy in general, but I really did not like this book. Now, let's just start with the issue I had with the whole series, which is I didn't really enjoy the characters that much, and I wasn't invested in them very much at all. And I think if you start from that point, it's a real struggle. The only reason I was kind of reading them was because I was buddy reading this series with a friend, and we wanted to sort of see where it was going to go. But it did hit a point where she basically was like, I cannot read this book anymore. At the point in the book that I was in, I had a vendetta against it and really did, instead of DNFing, want to finish it so that I could give it the 2 stars that it deserved. But I will say the book itself had a lot of things that were forced. One of them, out of many things, being the love triangle that did not need to be there. It took forever for the plot to get moving because basically we just talked about doing things and never actually got around to doing things. The villains were utterly silly to me, and it just had a multitude of just, I think, general structural problems, in my opinion. And because of that, the book dragged like no other. I know that a lot of people did enjoy this book, so there is a chance that you might enjoy this book. I think, though, if you read the first book and you find that you're not particularly invested in the characters or what's going on with them, I don't recommend continuing on with the series because I didn't enjoy the first book. I gave the second book 2 stars as well, but this one, I honestly felt in my soul was a 1-star book, but I didn't give it 1 stars because I finished it. And I think a 1-star book in my mind is a DNF. So yeah, not for me. Actually kind of ruined my reading and put me in a reading slump for part of the year. Second least best moment was a little book called Enamored with a Diffident Gentleman. I feel like the main thing that bugged me about this book was that the gentleman in this book was not diffident, which is a shy sort of person, in case you're wondering. Now, he discusses the female character being diffident, which she isn't either. So nobody's diffident. I think if somebody had been in this story, I actually would have liked this a lot better. The other problem with the book is that I signed up for a clean Regency romance. It was technically clean, but I feel like some of the thought processes of the characters weren't clean. And if that was what I signed up for, it would be fine. But that's not what I signed up for. But also, the overall plot of this, from what I remember, because some of it was pretty forgettable, was not great. And the male love interest was not a good person, in my opinion. So I did not really want him to get together with the girl. It was a little bit of a blah moment. But, you know, it was readable. I, for some reason, gave it 3.5 stars, but now that I think about it, it's a 3-star. Oh, another Regency romance, sadly by this same author. I feel really bad. I'm not trying to throw this author under the bus. I think I did read one of her books that I really, really enjoyed, but this one wasn't one of them. A Cinderella for His Lordship. There was no big problem with this book. It was just not memorable. That's it. And I do, from what I recall, think that it could have leaned into the Cinderella aspects of its title. Then we have I'll Stop the World by Lauren Tomman. Am I saying that right? Now, this book had a lot of potential to be really excellent. Honestly, I feel like I wasn't very clear with one of my issues with this book, and it's something really important, so I wanted to make sure that I clarified and spoke really clearly about what I wanted to say with this book. So the thing is that this book handles diversity almost really well, and then it will have a moment where it is a little bit forced. And what I mean by that is that there is a lot of great diverse types of people in this book, and I do really love that. And for the most part, it is some of the best representation, say, of neurodivergence and ADHD that I have seen, or just the representation of people of color is really interesting, and the dynamics of what's going on in a small town with that, I really appreciate it. But there are moments in this book where it is forced, where there's like a character that's not even a main character or a side character that is supposed to represent some element of diversity that is just there to be there and to acknowledge that exists in the world. And I think that we all know that there's different types of people in the world. And I think to have characters there just to say like, hey, I'm acknowledging that this type of person is in my book is more of a distraction than a help to a novel. And I think it's totally great to have diversity in a book, and I appreciate it when it is either a part of the story and really is to say something about what affects diverse groups of people, or B, when it's just is allowed to be, which I honestly think that is even better for me. Like, I would love to see just everybody be able to just exist as a human without always having to make a statement about it. So I love seeing those two types of things, but when you're seeing somebody try to represent characters just for that representation to be there when it's not a main character or a side character that's elemental to the plot overall of the story, I, like I said, do think it's a distraction to the real meaningful statements you can say about the characters that are really playing an important role in your story. Yeah. I hope that you are getting my statement, because I'm really worried about offending people with this statement, but this was one of the things that did minorly bother me about the book, because otherwise the representation element was really good. It's just when it came off forced that it bothered me. I do think that the plot kind of moved a little slowly for me, and I do think that is because of the nature of certain characters in the book, and that really can't be helped. But also, I think that I wanted more just action, because the point of the book is that this main character is going back in time into the 80s and trying to stop a specific event, and I wanted more work done on that. I wanted what it was, but I wanted more of a plot structure to it. Also, I wanted it to not ruin the song I'll Stop the World for me, but oh, it does. But guess what? So will a Wikipedia search. So it's not the book's fault. Another book that had a great deal of potential but ended up on the least best list is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read this book basically because of TikTok. I don't really post anything myself. I just like to scroll. Now, like I said, this book has a lot of potential. It's a pretty good mystery. I do think that the characters, while not likable, are interesting, unlikable characters. I think a lot of people that review this book, from what I can grasp, feel like the end doesn't completely work. Now, I won't discuss it because I can't without spoiling you on the book, but I just think that it would have maybe worked if I'd seen more of a crumble, some little crumbs that it was going in that direction. But because I didn't really see that, it doesn't totally come across, I think, the way it could have. It does bring the rating of the book, in my opinion, down because it's a pretty decent mystery up until that point. Not a 5-star mystery, but it probably would be like a 4-star book if not for the way that the end panned out. Maybe there was a way to make that end work, but because that's not how it worked out, it ended up being a 3.75. Maybe in hindsight, I would probably maybe give it a 3.5, but lots of potential. I think that is it for the video. By the way, I completed my little scrap sweater. So yay, isn't it cute? While we were talking in this video. So that is it for today, my fabulous peeps. See you later.